Thank you very much, Captain Zoom. Awesome as always.
Thank you, thank you.
Don't let that get out that I said you did an awesome job.
No, it won't go anywhere, BJ. It won't go anywhere. Thank you.
It is my honor to introduce Senator John Mannion, who I had the honor of speaking in front of his Senate Committee on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities about the staffing crisis and also the COVID roundtable. I would like to thank him for being a great supporter of the providers, the families, and especially we as self-advocates. He's hearing what we say. He's trying to make changes, but we need to keep communicating to our legislative officials. Senator Mannion, take it away.
Thank you, BJ, for that introduction, and thank you for all of your advocacy. We're all pushing together to try to make some positive changes here for all New Yorkers. From the time I got on to the time that I just started talking here, my office computer went down. So I'm on my phone and I hope I don't get disturbed or, with anything that comes through. So I apologize, everybody. But good morning, everyone. This is an important thing we're doing here today. There's obviously been a lot of changes in New York State government, and that includes at OPWDD. Governor Kathy Hochul has been a breath of fresh air. I proudly am supportive of her, and she has pledged openness and transparency. She has selected an OPWDD commissioner who's an expert in the field, somebody we know, somebody whom I've met, and I can believe that we can enact positive change together. That person is Acting Commissioner Carrie Nyself. Commissioner Nyself has been dedicated to the people of New York for her entire adult life. And she began her career working with homeless youth and child protective services. Obviously, that can be difficult work, emotional work, but it takes a special kind of person to be drawn into that area and to take on those challenges head on. She has experience across state and local government, as well as academia. She's held prominent positions at Rockefeller College, OPWDD, and the Executive Chamber. And this experience and track record has led her to embark on a even bigger endeavor, an even bigger challenge, and that is leading OPWDD. She will take on the workforce crisis, ensuring that ensure also that we have the right kind of housing options and enough of them, and ensuring excellent services that are widely available for everyone who relies on them. Commissioner Nyself is a New Yorker through and through with degrees from Elmira College and the University of Albany. I'm excited to work together and accomplish great things with her for this community. And with that, it is my honor to introduce, and please join me in welcoming Commissioner Carrie Nyself.
Yay!
So do we have the commissioner here? I know we have some OPWDD part of her team. I see names on here, and my understanding is the commissioner is prepared.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing her yet.
Yeah, I'm not seeing her as well. I was going to ask about that.
Okay. All right, everyone. I spoke to her office this morning. I know everything's in order. However, she is traveling. So it just might be a slight delay in her getting on, but I will call the office again and see if they can try to reach her on her cell or something.
Arnold, I'm looking for her name
Senator
right
Mannion.
now. I don't see.
While we're waiting, I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
If that's okay with the organizers, it's okay with me, BJ.
It is fine. Go ahead.
How are things going? What new is going to come down the pipe for those of us with developmental disabilities, the families and the providers? Anything new going to coming down the pipe that you know of?
Well, as I've said, BJ, in other meetings with you, we have to be optimistic and we have to all push together. I will say a couple things that we are proposing, which would be when these federal dollars have come in, and that they're important and they will be helpful. is if we need this much money in the workforce, if we need this much money in housing, then we need it year after year after year. So what I am doing as we approach this budget season is proposing, 500 million additional dollars into the OPWDD system. And then additionally, I'm asking for a 5.6% cost of living adjustment. The challenges we face are widespread, but we can't do anything if we don't rebuild our workforce. And we are working on items like that in the budget. Also legislation for tax credits for individuals that work in this capacity. So, the challenges that we have to face is great. And we have to work rapidly. And the problems or the challenges have only become greater over a short period of time here. So we have to address it. And I'm hopeful that we're not having this conversation in the future about the challenges that are out there. What are the positives? I would say that the positives are that we have to keep pushing together. I think that people are listening. We have bills that are outstanding. And many of you may know about this, the 853 and 4410 schools. We're trying to get parity for their funding, and we're encouraging the governor to sign those bills. But as of right now, it has not been signed. So the good news is they passed the legislature. We could go into more details about that and the bills. What we're hoping for is that they're signed. So regardless, that is where we are. I'm looking forward to the upcoming budget season. I have spoken with Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins on multiple occasions about this issue. I spoke about it in front of my Senate colleagues to make sure that they know what a crisis this is, and they're seeing it in their own offices. So hopefully we are getting the attention of people, and positive things will come from it.
And I would like to personally, as an advocate, thank your staff for assisting me with the Rise Up campaign. And the hope is that I get the meeting with the governor real soon so I can speak for all of us, because we're all suffering through the staffing crisis. And I need to get an audience with the governor to help her understand the urgency of this, as I know you are, and it's an honor to work with your office. I have to say that.
Well, it's an honor to work with you, BJ, and it is for the folks that are across the screen here. I do apologize for this challenge of trying to communicate, through my phone here as I'm trying to get updates, because as I introduced the commissioner, I could not access to make sure whether she was there or not. And I wanted to be, of course, respectful. I think I got my time right, but I can't check my computer and I can't check my phone.
Excuse me, Senator Mannion.
Well, she's here now, so we can go to her.
Okay.
Okay, you did great, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator.
All right, welcome, Acting Commissioner. There she is. Welcome. So we want to give the commissioner a chance to speak. We just heard from Senator Mannion. And then after that, we're going to do a question and answer, and I'll explain that when we're ready.
Looks like she's still connecting the audio mic.
All right. Well, we're flexible, right? We're advocates, so we're flexible.
Yes.
Give her a couple
Advocacy
seconds
is
here.
flexibility, Mike.
Yeah, and not always physical, but spiritually and mentally, we're flexible.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, so I know sometimes this happens to, everybody. Sometimes it does take quite some time for the audio
Yeah.
to connect. So we'll just wait, right?
I'm not one to mention technical problems, believe me, after my issues yesterday, so that's not a problem.
Yeah. Mike, did you want to briefly, because you reiterated anyway, which thing could I, oh, never mind. I think we're good. I think we have a connection.
There you go.
No?
Yes, we can hear you
You
now.
can
Yeah,
hear
we
me?
can hear you.
Okay,
You're good,
great,
yeah.
great. Sorry, I was dialed in before, but I think I think I was double muted somehow, so I hung up and dialed back in. Hopefully that worked. So thank you. And sorry if I'm running late. I had planned on I'm joining at 10:30. I got the call to join a few minutes early, so I'm sorry. I hope I didn't disrupt your schedule.
You are all good, Commissioner. Don't worry
You're
about it.
welcome.
Okay. And Senator Mannion, sorry I missed your introduction. I'm trusting that you said glowing things about me, and it was a beautiful introduction.
I'll
And okay, and I'm happy to be with Senator Mannion again. I think this is the third time that we've been together this week. Which I think is just shows what an incredible advocate and an incredible champion we have in Senator Mannion, and we're so lucky to have a partner like him in the legislature. So I want to thank him on behalf of Governor Cuomo and OPWDD for being a true partner, and I know that you all are so appreciative of his efforts as well. Obviously, I want to thank SANYS for having me here. I'm really happy and honored to be at this event. I know this is an annual tradition to have the Commissioners Forum, and I'm honored to be a part of it this year. I love the theme. I love the Stronger Together theme. I think it's exactly what we all need to have in mind as we go into this new year. We have a new governor, we have a new administration, a new commissioner, and I think we're working on new partnerships. And I think it is 100% true that we are all stronger together. And we can't do this without each other. And I'm grateful to be part of the team with you. This is my first meeting with many of you, so I'll just take a minute to give my background and share a little bit about who I am. At this point, I think I've met a lot of you, but for those of you I haven't, hi, Carrie Nyself, acting commissioner. I started my career in social work at a community residence for people with mental health issues. So I was a direct care professional, did some case management, and then I did a lot of work in the child welfare system, with families and children interacting with the child welfare system and with homeless adults and homeless teens. So I spent a lot of my career in direct care, working directly with people, supporting them and helping to address whatever the needs were that they brought to the situation. And it's always been important to me as I've transitioned into government to really stay true to my roots as a social worker, and to stay true to understanding, why it is that government exists and why it is that we all do these jobs. And it is really to provide a better life for New Yorkers and to address whatever those needs are. And so I really see my job now as just an extension of my role when I was a social worker, which is just to make sure that this system, OPWDD, and the system that it supports meets the needs of the people that it serves, and that's you, and so I see my job as making sure that this apparatus works, and obviously that happens through, through constant communication and constant work together. So I'm very committed to working very closely with you, with with other people that we serve, with families, with providers, and really working to restore relationships where they need to be restored. With that commitment in mind, I'll share with you a few of my priorities, and then I know we'll do some question and answer and some dialogue, which is really my favorite way to interact with people. So I think it's, it's not an announcement. It's no surprise to anyone that we're dealing with a tremendous workforce shortage. We have a staffing issue across the state. It's affecting us in state operations. It's affecting the providers in the voluntary system. And honestly, I hadn't even joined OPWDD yet, but I was watching from home the hearing that the legislature had, and it stuck with me what BJ said about sleeping in his wheelchair for 2 years because he couldn't hire a staff person to be there in his home with him when he needed that assistance to move into the bed. And you know, I've brought that with me sort of every day as I'm doing this job. And the number one priority for me and for OPW right now is to stabilize the workforce and to ensure that we have something in place to address the staffing challenge. I heard when I first tried to join and my audio wasn't working, I could hear Senator Mannion talking about the importance of workforce. And BJ, I could hear you talking about wanting to get a meeting with the governor to share. And I would encourage you to do that. And I will, you know, if it comes to my desk, I will absolutely recommend that she take that meeting. But I also want to let you know that this is the conversation that I'm having with the governor's office on a regular basis. I'm very grateful that we have a partner in Governor Hochul. We have a partner in the Director of State Operations, Catherine Garcia, and our Deputy Secretary, Ji-Hoon Kim, is also someone who is a strong ally to us and to our system. So we do have people in the governor's office who understand what's happening on the ground. And I think the more advocacy that you can do, and BJ, I would encourage you, I know I don't need to because you are a very fierce advocate on your own, but I will encourage you to keep that advocacy going. I think most people know at this point that due to some additional funding that the federal government provided, OPWDD is able to provide provider agencies with an influx of funding that will go directly to our direct support professionals. So what that will look like is 2 wage increases. We'll be giving a 20% wage increase for last year, 20% wage increase for this year. We will also be giving a longevity bonus for staff who worked throughout the pandemic. And we will be giving a vaccine bonus for staff who have chosen to take the vaccine. I think we all know that, you know, that the vaccine for people who don't have a medical reason to not get it, the vaccine is the best way that we can all protect each other from COVID-19. And we're trying to incentivize folks to get that vaccine through that bonus. So that's money that will go directly into the pockets of our direct support professionals. And what we're hoping is that it will help us to increase the recruitment pipeline and will help us to keep staff who we already have, to keep them with us and to retain them in the workforce. And like I said, it is the number one thing on my agenda. It keeps me up at night, and I know it keeps you up at night. So I think that, you know, anything that we want to do from here, I have lots of, you know, I have lots of policy agendas. OPWDD as an agency has lots of exciting things it wants to do. I know you guys have lots of exciting things that you want us to do. I think we need a strong and stable workforce in order to be able to do any of those things. And so that's where my efforts are being focused right now. I think most of you know that we have been working throughout the summer on releasing a strategic plan that is required by law. You guys know it as the 507 plan. It will help us to map out the future for our system, and it will help provide a roadmap for OPW, for our providers, for self-advocates, for family members. Will help us to provide a roadmap for us all to follow together so that we can reach the goals that we've established for our system. That 507 plan was drafted when there was a different commissioner in the office, when there was a different governor, and when there was a different deputy secretary. So what we're doing right now is taking a look at that.
OPWDD is the state office that manages programs that.
All right. Sorry about that, Commissioner.
That's okay. That's okay. I just didn't want to, I wanted to make sure you could hear me. So the 507 plan is under review now with me. It will go to the governor's office. We're just going to make sure that it aligns with all of our goals, and then we will get it out. And I think, between now and then, we'll certainly be talking about some of those goals. And what I think is very important is that the 507 plan is a report, but what it symbolizes is a commitment on behalf of OPWDD to plan for the future of our system and to share those plans openly with our stakeholders so that we can all work together to achieve those goals, and so that we can receive feedback from the field on, are these the right goals? Do you agree with these goals? How are we doing? And also it can inform you how you can work with us to achieve those goals. Because again, stronger together, right? As the theme, we are partners here, and we are stronger together, and we can't be partners if we don't all agree on where we're going. So I think it's really important that we agree on where we're going. In addition to that, we have some exciting opportunities through the enhanced federal funding to take a look at our self-direction program, to take a look at our continuum of housing opportunities, to take a look at the way that we use technology to better enable service provision. And those are all some of the things that we're going to be doing. I've heard for a long time that the self-direction program can be complicated and confusing. We want to simplify that. We want your input as we do that. It's not something that we can do in a vacuum. And so there will be more opportunities in the near future to work on these things together. And so you guys should look out for, these opportunities coming soon, and we'll certainly keep you posted. And we'll be looking to you all for feedback and relying heavily on your feedback as we work together to redesign some of these parts of our system. So again, thank you so much for having me here, on behalf of the governor and on behalf of OPWDD. I'm really grateful to have you as partners. And so I think I'll stop with my remarks, and we can go into question and answer. And I don't know if it's BJ or Michael who's going to be sharing with me the questions.
I will be helping with that. And I just want to give, I'll let BJ speak. And then I just want to give some housekeeping before we start.
Oh, no, Mike, I just had a question. Do your housekeeping.
Okay. All right. So we're here to dialogue with the commissioner to help make our system better. So that means we want to have a good conversation. And the first thing I want to say is this is for self-advocates primarily, which means self-advocates will get priority when it comes to questions. So I just want to make everybody aware of that. Now, when we ask questions, I want you to be respectful, as the similar ground rules. We'll try to get to everybody. Raise your hand, and we'll try to get to everybody as best we can. There's a lot of people, so we want to be respectful. And third, we want to make sure that when we are speaking, we realize that this forum is not to solve our personal issues. If you have personal issues with your services, you really need to work with your care coordinator, your circle around you, or your broker to help solve those. Okay? So we want to keep those things in mind. So, remember, raise your hand and we will get started. So, BJ, I don't know if you had a question or was your hand still up?
I do have a question. It just takes me a minute to get my hand up.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Captain Zoom.
Not a problem.
Commissioner, good to see you again. Sorry you have to see so much of me, but my question is a twofold question. We've heard a lot of talk about managed care. What's your vision for managed care? And my second question is, after the staffing crisis, what's your immediate plans for the future of OPWDD?
Sure, great questions. So managed care is I think as you all know, right, is a way that we can pay for Medicaid services. We have the fee-for-service environment where providers get paid a set rate to perform an individual service. So you go to the doctor and you have a physical, there's an amount of money that gets paid to a provider, to do the physical. Managed care is an environment where we have a larger rate that gets paid to a managed care program, and then they work with the providers in your network. So they would work with your primary care doctor, with your group home if you lived in a group home, with your physical therapist if you had physical therapy, with your occupational therapist if you had your occupational therapy. And the goal behind managed care is to look at the person holistically. So instead of looking at you as a person who has, physical needs, therapy needs, residential needs in different silos, right? We look at the holistic picture, and we use the funding to incentivize outcomes, right? And I think we know, right, for people who have developmental disabilities, there are certain health conditions that come up more often than others,
Pat,
right?
he's still having trouble with the mic and the camera. He can hear.
And we have, thank you. We have, you know, certain challenges because of the way that our payment structure exists, that on the residential side, we pay you to provide residential services. On the physical health side, we pay you to provide physical health. But if the residential provider and the physical health doctor were working more closely together, we would likely see better outcomes in both areas. So managed care tries to combine that payment method in order to incentivize better care on both sides. So I just wanted to sort of level set about what managed care is. And that's a simplified version. We could have much more in-depth conversations, you know, at a later date, but in order, you know, to respect the time, we'll just go with the simplified process. My goal as the commissioner of OPWDD is not to transition OPW into managed care just to say we did it, right? My goal for the system is to provide a system or to create a system that provides flexibility for the people getting services. So for you, and that it's a system that enables providers to meet your needs however they need to do it, and to be able to be creative and innovative and flexible in the way that they meet your needs. I happen to believe that managed care is a better payment method for doing that. However, I want to make it very clear that that does not mean that I intend to work to transition the field into managed care at this moment. What I think we have right now is a staffing crisis. We have a system that needs to be stabilized. We have to create a system that at some point would be ready to transition to managed care before we can really contemplate that issue. So I think for me, what I'm saying is that I think managed care is valuable. I think it's an important discussion, but I don't think that we're at the point in time right now where we can really consider that. So what I would like to see is that we stabilize, we address the staffing crisis, and then we agree on shared goals, right? We want to have better residential opportunities. We want to have more independent settings. We want to have more community-based programming. We want to have, a simplified, we want to have simplified processes for people to access our services. And I think that we start with those goals in mind, and we work towards those goals, and then we figure out how the Medicaid program can support us in achieving those goals, rather than thinking about the Medicaid program first. Does that make sense?
Okay.
It does.
BJ, you're muted.
Absolutely, it does. And I hope from our discussion, we have a larger discussion about the system actually becoming person-centered. I know we've discussed that many times, but I just want to say that and thank you for your honesty and for your time.
Yeah. And then to your second question, BJ, around after we address the staffing crisis, what are the goals? I think it's along the lines of what I said, right? Once we stabilize through addressing the staffing crisis, that's when I think we have an opportunity to think about some of the exciting things that we want to do, right? How do we create a better continuum of services to make sure that people's needs are being met? For so long, we have been living in an environment where we haven't had enough resources, whether it be staffing or money in the right places. But I think, we're on the precipice of an exciting opportunity to be able to really think about how we want to thoughtfully and creatively invest in our system. What is it that we want to do? What are our goals? And so once we get through that, I think using the strategic plan that has been drafted, we can start to think more creatively about how do we provide housing opportunities for people? How do we help people to gain employment? How do we help people to access educational opportunities? What do people want their day programming to look like, and how do we make that happen? So I think all of those things are the next step. So I guess the next goal for me after staffing is innovation, and how can we be innovative in the way that we provide services so that we can truly achieve person-centered planning, right? So an individual can say, these are my goals, and that we have a system in place to help a person achieve those goals.
Okay. Very good, very good.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
All right, next up is Ed Palumbo.
Good morning, Madam Commissioner. And I just wanted to ask four basic questions. First question, actually, will you provide more community services for people with disabilities, like day programs or adult education, and more opportunities for this rural area of Twin Tiers? And the other one is, will you provide more trained support staff so that we have a better staff, to help us in our goals? And it goes to number 3, will you support people who will train the professionals, non-amateurs, but professionals from OPWDD to help the DSPs and the residential staffs to be more professional and to understand people with disability, and have advocates at all the training, and have them on training with them. And then finally, one of the things I have as peer counselor is, would you provide more internet services for people that live in group homes, and
Okay,
and
thank you, Ed.
make it available?
Let the commissioner answer now, please. Thank you.
Okay, these are great questions. I know that in rural areas, having, reliable staffing services can be challenging. So one of the things we absolutely want to do is to look at how the staffing crisis, once, when we have some solutions to the staffing crisis, is to then understand sort of where are the gaps in services and how we can meet them. I think, in rural areas, it can be a challenge for different reasons, right? I mean, there are less people to do the jobs, but then also we have transportation challenges and we have, location challenges. So I think we do very much understand that, rural areas can present their own individual challenges. And I think beyond just staffing, we are looking at ways to help support additional services. Trained support staff. So again, sort of along the same lines, we have limited resources when it comes to staffing, and we are hoping that through the federal funding and hopefully through additional support from the state government, we'll be able to increase those levels of staffing. And certainly that would come with appropriate training. Talking about professionalizing the workforce and having more professional training for DSPs, that's something that's very important to OPWDD. And we are looking at ways to offer credentialing and additional training and additional opportunities for DSPs to obtain college credits and do college coursework, so that we are continuing to elevate the professionalism of your staff. That is something that's very important. Internet services in group homes. That's from the state operated system. We are looking to provide internet connectivity in our state operated group homes. And we will be working with providers to understand their challenges there and if and how they would like to provide internet services, and we will be working with them on that.
Okay, I have some questions that are from people that I think were in the chat. One of them is, can you explain a little bit about your role as commissioner? What are your roles as commissioner? What do you?
Sure. It's a great question. I mean, I'm new to the job, so I'm still learning. So don't
Sure.
don't think
No,
this is
sure. Go ahead.
the full
Don't
answer.
worry about it. We're not going to judge.
I mean, first off, I work very closely with the governor's office and with the division of the budget to inform them and to understand their goals, so that I can then go out and represent the governor across the state when it comes to issues related to, to OPWDD. I am responsible ultimately for everything that happens at OPWDD. If you think about it as like a corporation, I think I would be equivalent to the CEO of a corporation. So ultimately, I am the person who's responsible for what happens at OPWDD. I'm very lucky that I have a really talented and smart and incredible senior team at OPWDD who I have the privilege of working with. And they all have responsibility for various parts of the agency and how it happens. And then we meet together as a team regularly to talk about what's going on, to talk about our goals, to talk about our vision, and make sure that we're achieving them. And I guess partly the role of the commissioner is to be setting a tone for the agency, to be driving the goals that are important to the agency and to the governor and to the people that we serve, and making sure that we're always, that we're staying on track with what we're supposed to be doing, that we're meeting our goals, and that we're doing the best we can to serve New Yorkers with developmental disabilities.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up is Paul. Paul, you had a question.
From 5030 Broadway, adapt.
So Paul, you have a question about more independent housing for people.
I have a question for more independent, for more people with disabilities
To get their own apartment.
to get their own apartments.
Is there a plan for that?
Is there a plan for that?
Sure, that's a great question. Yes, one of the priorities for OPWDD right now is to create more opportunities for independent housing, recognizing that not everybody wants to live in a group home. I think we will never take group homes away. Group homes will always be available for the people and the families who want them. But we also want to provide opportunities for people to live more independently in their communities with whatever level of support they need in that apartment or in that home there to help them to achieve that goal. So yes, absolutely, OPWDD is planning for and committed to developing more independent housing.
Very, very good. All right, let's go to some hands now. Janet Harrison.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for coming today. I wanted to ask you, I heard about Freedom Care on TV where you hire somebody in your family to take care of you and they would automatically get paid through Medicaid. I was wondering if that was going to be a part of the plan. Thank you. That was my question.
Sure. So my understanding is that that is something that is available to you now through self-direction. If you are enrolled in self-direction, you can hire the people of your choosing to support you, and depending on the service, you paid through Medicaid. So if you have additional questions, if you want to leave your information in the chat, we could have somebody from OPW reach out to you, or we can reach out to your care manager and make sure that your care manager reaches out to you to give you more information about self-direction.
All right, thank you, Janet.
Okay, thank you.
Next up, we have Naomi, I believe that's how you say it. Naomi Adam.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Good morning.
Morning.
Hi. I've been in self-advocacy a very long time. I started as a board member many years ago. And one of the unique things that I wanted to share with you is that I was one of the board members that visited New England and brought the concept of self-direction over to New York State. That's how long ago I've been involved with self-advocacy. One of the unique features, and my whole life right now is self-direction. I get job coaching and I get staff from my house, in my own house to come here, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? But
Great.
Yes, it is phenomenal that I've been able to choose my own staff, set the pay rate. But one of the things I really want to share with you is that what made that happen about self-direction, not for me, but the idea of self-direction, the commissioner had at that time had a very open door policy for people with disabilities, families, with both self-advocacy association, but also with individuals that were not even part of self-advocacy association. Like after I was on the board, he still took the opportunity to say, come on in my office. Do you know what I mean? To a lot of my friends, which was phenomenal, because then you're hearing it both from self-advocacy association, because some people aren't all associated with the association, you know what I mean? People with disabilities, not everybody's associated. Right. And so I think that was the most important thing, that there was a willingness to let people come in, write letters, to come into the office, to do chat, to email the commissioner directly and not go to beat around the bush kind of, I don't know the right word, but do you know what? It came directly to the person with the disability, right to the commissioner. And you didn't have to be associated also with self-advocacy association, because not everybody has a disability connected. I just wanted to reach out and let you know how vital that has been. That was, and vital at that time.
Well, first off, thank you for the work that you did to bring self-advocacy to New York State. Obviously, it's been hugely impactful, that work, and we have so many people enrolled in self-direction now. And obviously, it's been very successful for you, and you have supports in your home exactly how you want to have them. So what I would say is that, yes, 100%, I have a very open door, open email, open phone call policy where anybody and everybody can have access to me, to my email, to my phone number, and to reach out to me with whatever is going on, whether it be big or small. I may not always have the answers, and I may sometimes have to ask my staff to come in and to assist, because I can't know everything about everything. And I have staff who I get to work with who are, so much smarter than me and know much more than I do. But I have a very open door policy. I would encourage you, please, to just reach out directly to me, and I'll never ever turn down an opportunity to talk with you and to understand what's happening for you in your life. And I think you're right, that the best way that I can do my job is to understand what's happening for the people that we're serving. And if I'm not in contact with you, then there's no way for me to know that. So you don't, and I'll leave my email in the chat for everybody.
So you do not care if it's an individual with a disability that's not associated with the organization. Is that what I'm understanding?
Nope. Yes, you understand correctly. I don't care who you're associated with, or if you're associated with only yourself. You are a person with a developmental disability. You're important to me.
That is utterly the best news I've heard all year. Thanks a million.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to let everybody know, because we have limited time, I want you to try to keep your responses as brief as possible. Get your point across, but keep them brief, please. Thank you. All right. Because he's on the phone and needs some support, I want to go to Tony Phillips, and that's through Arnold. So Arnold.
Okay, everybody. So I have Tony, unfortunately can't unmute his microphone, but I have him on my phone, and this usually works. We've done this before. So Tony, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, Tony. So so Commissioner Nyself is listening if you want to ask your question.
I want to find out, how would you get people like you who work in your office already? What kind of job would you have us doing?
Okay, so Commissioner, would you like me to repeat Tony's question? Because I know Tony is, it's pretty hard the phone.
Please, yeah,
Tony,
I couldn't quite hear all the questions.
You just make sure what I say is what you wanted to say, okay? But what I understand. So Sorry.
Arnold, I think if you could mute your cell phone, that would be helpful. There's just a lot of feedback.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah.
There we go.
It's the phone and the computer. So Tony was asking for people like Tony who are self-advocates who are also employed with OPWDD, what sort of work responsibilities do you see for people like that? And Tony, my understanding is your current role is within OPWDD is somewhere within advocacy services. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I certainly think that advocacy services is a really important place for a person, a self-advocate to be, and to be able to help others to understand how empowering and important self-advocacy is, and to be able to advocate on their behalf if people need assistance in that. In terms of other areas of employment, I would encourage the question to be, what does the individual want in terms of employment? I think there are a lot of opportunities for employment within OPW and within other state agencies and within state government in general, and outside of state government in the private sector. So I guess that, to me, the question is, what do you want to do? And then how can we help you do it? I don't know. I don't mean to answer a question with a question, but I think that, if there are areas that people are interested in, we're happy to help explore how, how they can seek employment in those areas, whether it be for state government or outside.
Okay. Tony, did you want to say anything back, or are you okay for now? And we can always follow up with the commissioner's office as well. We meet with them.
We can always talk about it when we meet, with the commissioner.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Tony. All right, Commissioner. Tony said he could also follow up with you with the meetings that you have with us as well. Okay. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Ron.
All right. Next up, we have
DJ Arnold, I wanted to let you know that we're on at the farm, but I'm on my phone, so we're listening. So just to let you know.
Thanks, Esther.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. Next we have Joey. Joey, do you have your hand up?
How you doing, Commissioner? I have a question for you, right? The people been vaccinated, right? For the OPWDD, right? For people with disability, right? Like, do they have to take another like this variant, like Omicron, have to be vaccinated again?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
My question is, I've been vaccinated, right? And most of my people from my program, people like my people, but people with disability have been vaccinated, right? Do we have to take another vaccine shot, like for the Omicron?
Sure. So, let me caveat this by saying I'm not a doctor. And so what I'm sharing with you is information that has been shared with me from our public health agencies, and that changes regularly, as you know. My understanding at this point is that at least some of the vaccines are reporting that they have efficacy against Omicron. There may be additional boosters that are later on tailored specifically to Omicron, but that hasn't happened yet. So
because
for
we
now,
like to
the
come
best.
back to our normal life.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Like come back to go see in person again.
It's right now the best protection that we have is to get vaccinated and then to receive the booster as soon as we're eligible.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, if additional vaccines are developed that are tailored for variants, we'll get more information about that. But for now, the best that we can do is to be vaccinated, receive the booster as soon as we're eligible for that, and to continue to wear our mask and practice hand hygiene whenever we can.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Hope.
Come on. You said Hope?
Yes. You Hope.
Yeah. Thanks, Michelle. I just want to know, like, why are you only acting commissioner, and is it possible you can become an actual commissioner?
Sure. So the job of commissioner is one that is appointed by the governor. So
Everybody, let's
governor
stay
chooses-
muted. Go ahead,
so the
Commissioner.
the governor chooses who they would like to appoint, and she appointed me into this role. I will remain acting commissioner until a Senate confirmation hearing takes place. So the second step of becoming commissioner is to be confirmed by the Senate. So the Senate will be returning to session in January, and they'll be in session between January and June. And at some point during session, there will be a confirmation hearing. And if the Senate votes to confirm me, then I will become the permanent commissioner. But what I would like to say is that I don't take my role any less seriously while I'm in the acting capacity. And there's nothing that I can't do as acting commissioner. And so, it should be a seamless transition for you when it happens.
Yeah, well, I hope it does happen. Good luck.
Thank you. I hope so too.
Okay, next up, I'm gonna go to Sam Meadow.
Hello, Commissioner. I have a question. With housing and jobs for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, when people get jobs and they work full time, if they go over a limit for housing, they are removed from the housing because they don't fit the criteria for that low-income housing. So people with disabilities that work over the low-income limit have to move and find a place that is not low-income and accessible to them. Do you have any thoughts on making housing available that is not low income or does not follow the low income guidelines for people with disabilities?
That's a great question. I don't know enough about it, and so what I'd like to do is to take that question back to my team and to talk about it with them, and then we can come back to you with an answer. But I think it's a great question, and I think it's a very important question. And if we want to help people with disabilities to get employment, we don't want them to be afraid of losing the services and the supports that help them to, to be able to work.
All right, thank you. Next up is Serene, I believe you pronounce that.
Oh, I got a question about.
Go ahead with your question.
We need more stop people from work.
Are you able to minimize some of that background noise? Is there a TV maybe or a radio on, because we're having a hard time hearing you? Can you just ask folks to mute whatever's going on there, like turn down a TV or radio, so we can hear your question better? Thank you.
Low the TV.
Oh.
Okay. I have one question about we
I think everyone's frozen.
To give you an example, for our president, we had the Ridge Road
Unfortunately, we'll have to mute you, but if you can let people know that you really need to have anything that has sound, like a TV, radio, people talking, have them stop or turn down or off, because we really want to be able to hear your questions. So we'll mute you for now and then come back to you when you've been able to do that.
Yeah,
Thank
we'll
you.
come back to you. I'll make sure of that, Serene. All right, I just want to let everybody know that we have a lot of hands up. We'll get to as many people as possible. But if we don't get to everybody, we'll have the commissioner reiterate her contact information at the end. Okay, next up is Jessica Campbell.
Hi, Commissioner. Sorry for the background noise. There's landscapers here today. My name is Jessica. I'm from Long Island. And one of the big things that I've been very strongly passionate about is a lack of technology for people with disabilities in our community, and how it provides safety and independence due to the fact we've learned that since COVID-19, as well as the staffing crisis, is this can help a lot of people. Like remind them if they have self-direction to lock the door. If you have Lifeline, it helps you be more safe in your home. And that Lifeline is something I feel that should be provided for all people.
Okay, I think you're totally right. I think technology can be incredible for people, you know, to have in their lives that can help in ways and also reduce the amount of staffing that is needed, you know, because if we can rely on technology for things like to remind you to lock your door, then you don't need staff coming over to lock your door for you or whatever it is.
Or just
or
a
calling
reminder,
you to
like,
remind you to lock your door.
Like Alexa, how to cook a chicken, you know, tell me how to cook a chicken.
Right. Right. No, I think you're totally right. I think we talk a lot at OPWDD about smart home technology and how when I get home, I can tell Alexa to turn my lights on for me. And that's something that you can do too. And if we can offer that and also provide a mechanism for paying for that, then that can provide a lot more independence for people and can reduce our reliance on staff. So it's absolutely something that we are looking into at OPWDD to be able to provide, you know, across the state and to understand better how technology can help us to meet the needs of the people that we're serving.
That was just my recommendation in the 507. I was wondering what you plan on doing with it.
I think it's a great recommendation, and we absolutely are planning on looking into how technology can better help us. And we have some opportunities through the federal funding that we'll be using to specifically look at technology.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jessica. Up next, I'm gonna choose Eddie and then Joe Damiano after that.
Yeah.
Eddie Morel.
Hi. My name is Manuel Morel, and I'm this president of the self-advocacy and my first question is as your role as commissioner, how would you help the people in need in terms of getting jobs?
Sure, I think that's a great question. I think we at OPW, some of the things that we're thinking about is after COVID, when day programming closed and we had a lot of changes with the way that day programming was offered, we started to think a little bit more about how we can better offer day programming services. And one of the ideas that we have is to make it easier for providers to provide various types of day programming. So whether that be you know, traditional day programming or employment services, so that providers can provide sort of the full spectrum of opportunities to people who are getting services from them. So that's one thing, and we think that that will make employment opportunities or employment services more readily available. We're also working on other opportunities to encourage people with disabilities to seek employment in state government, to seek employment with outside corporations. So it's definitely an area of interest. It's something that's particularly important to the governor. And she has asked me to look into it and to figure out how we can make more employment opportunities available. So it's 100% a priority for OPWs, and we're working on it. And would love to have any input that you guys have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Great question. All right, we have Joe Damiano. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, hi, Commissioner. I just was gonna bring up something, because I saw an article recently. What are you doing at OPWDD to help with the staffing crisis? And because I've been hearing that some people are being taken out of their group homes and put into different group homes and stuff, vice versa, because of trying to fill those vacancies, or you guys can't fill those vacancies. I might not have the whole context there, but I just was curious if you guys have a plan for that.
Sure, and that's a great question. We are having staffing challenges, and you have seen probably some articles about some state-operated group homes that have had to consolidate because of the lack of staff in certain areas, and it can be more challenging in certain areas of the state than in others. So part of what we are doing, what I talked about earlier, was the funding that came from the federal government, the $1.5 billion that we just announced, that will go directly into the pockets of the direct support professionals who work for voluntary agencies. That will help to increase their wages, and it will provide a longevity bonus for staff who have been working throughout the pandemic. And it will also provide an incentive bonus for staff who have chosen to get the vaccine. So we're hoping that this additional funding will help us to keep staff and will help encourage new people to come and apply to work in our system if we're able to pay a higher wage. On the state operated side, we experience the same challenges, and we're also working with the governor's office and with the Division of Budget to think about ways that we can better compensate our direct support professionals in the state workforce. Some of the other things that we're doing that are not directly tied to wages, but we think are important, are thinking about better ways to support our DSPs, understanding that they have jobs that can sometimes be difficult emotionally and physically. We want them to feel well supported and appreciated in their work. And we're also thinking about ways to help get the word out about what a wonderful job being a direct support professional can be. I think sometimes people don't understand everything that goes into the job. And if they did, they would see how wonderful and fulfilling it can be to help another person and to help them achieve their goals and help to support another person as they live life. So I think we have a few things in our minds on how we can address the workforce shortage. And that will help to, to prevent us from having to close and consolidate homes.
Okay, thank you. Joey Dorr. Did you have a question?
So you my voice was that time.
We can hear you.
Okay. My mom had more questions than I do.
Say that again.
My mom had more questions than I do.
Well, right now we want to hear from you, Joe.
Okay. Hi, Mr. I have a question. I live in a group home, and my group home is short on staff all the time, and we never go out, and the staff are not nice to all of us. They're very rude and stuff, and I wonder if you could help us.
If I heard your question correctly, you live in a group home and you are having staffing challenges and you don't get to take as many community trips as you used to. And there are some staff who don't treat you particularly well. Is that what you said?
They don't treat me well.
Okay. So I think what would be helpful is if, I know that you said your mom is there with you, right? So maybe someone can reach out to our office and share some of the details about the home that you live in. And then we can look into some of these, because obviously these are concerning allegations. And I know that, staffing shortages have led to fewer community outings. But if you're not being treated well, then that's something that we would want to look into. So if you could ask your mom to reach out to the office, or you could reach out via call or email, then that would be great. And we can look into this specific issue. Is that okay?
He said, thank you, Commissioner. He signed, thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
All right,
great.
Joe. Thank you, Joe. All right. Next up, we're gonna go with Izzy.
Good morning, Commissioner. I just have one question. You kind of answered it earlier, but is there a possibility? I know that I've had conversations with my staff about maybe a wage increase in the future. Is there a possibility that that could be coming down the line?
Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Yes. So, if are your staff are self-directed staff?
Yes.
Okay. So through the funding that I just talked about through the federal government,
Yeah.
we are providing increases to wage and some of those bonuses that we talked about. And self-directed staff are eligible for that as well. And so through the FI, they will receive that additional wage increase through their FI. If they have any questions, they can certainly reach out to us at OPWDD to understand the process. But they should start by talking to the FI, who is that handles the payment, and then come to us if they have any questions. But people who are employed through self-direction are eligible for those bonuses.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we will go with Derrick.
Thanks there, Mike. So my question is if OPWDD is working on like maybe developing some accessible a transportation program is for those with disabilities who especially live in the rural areas and can't and also are living on their own.
I know that transportation is an issue, especially in rural areas where public transportation isn't as readily available as it is in some of the larger cities. So transportation is always something that we're looking at, and I can follow up within my office to find out if there are any specific initiatives going on. But I do know that transportation is a concern, especially for people who are seeking employment and need to access their jobs through transportation.
Gotcha. Because I have a close friend of mine who has a self-direction, but they're having an extremely difficult time trying to go places on their own and to even find staff because of the rural area that they live in.
Okay, thank you, Josh. All right. So next up, we're going to go with John. John, you had your hand up.
Hi, you could hear me, right?
Yep. But John, remember,
you could hear me?
Just one question, please, John. Yeah.
Sure, but I like to bring up, to start off with this, I want to know, I mean, I know it's, got a lot of people and all, I'm trying to do the best way to explain it, but I want to know, could I some point talk to you, have a personal meeting some point today to discuss some of the things that I'm dealing with right now? I mean, they're affecting my life. I mean, I've been trying to get you, I gotta say, it's a great honor to talk to you. I've been trying to get your attention for quite some bit. There's, so to say, long story short, there's a lot of corruption with done the services of OPWDD. There's, I don't know, I mean, sometimes you have to wonder who, who's in charge. I mean, is it the clients or is it the OPW people? Because sometimes I feel like, OPW is just supposed to protect the people, but they're protecting their own. There's book full Justice Center reports I got here.
Okay,
that
John,
are not
let's let the
being
commissioner,
acknowledged.
let's let the commissioner address you on this.
I think what I would say is if you have personal challenges or if there are personal issues that you want to discuss, then you should absolutely send me an email and we can make sure that we follow up with you.
All right, thank you.
Sure,
John.
I tried reaching out to your office a couple of times, but they hang the phone up on me down there.
Well,
And
obviously
they
nobody
won't
should be hanging
talk
up
with
their
me,
phone
so I've
on
been having
you.
that problem too.
Okay, well, I put my email in the chat. I can send it to you again. So please, feel free to send me an email and we'll make sure you get connected with the right people.
Okay, thank you both. All right, next up, we're gonna go with, let me see, we're gonna go with Michaela.
Oh, thank you, Mike Rogers. Hi, Commissioner. My name is Michaela Hoskins. And earlier you said about managed care. Do you think managed care will be working for us? Or do you think managed care will work? Or in the future? Or if it does not work, managed care does not work, what should we do? What's the next step if managed care does not work?
It's a great question. I think, like I said, I think that managed care provides the system with the opportunity to be flexible, be creative, to look at the person being served from a holistic perspective, and not just as, a state plan service or a waiver service, which is now sort of, the way that, things are broken down and the way that we get paid for things by the federal government is in a silo, and people are not silos. But like I said earlier, I think that the most pressing issues for the system right now are staffing, are making sure that we're providing all the services that are needed, and that we have some continuity across the state in the ways that we provide those services, and that it provides us with an opportunity to continue to explore managed care, but that I don't think that that we're not on the precipice of transitioning into managed care right now. I do think that a stronger system would benefit from that transition. But again, I want to be clear that that's not something that's happening tomorrow.
Okay.
If managed care happened and it was not successful, then we would have to rethink how we provide services, which is obviously very scary, and any change like that can be concerning. So we don't make any changes lightly, and we wouldn't make any change to managed care until we understood that it was going to do what we needed it to do for the people that we served. I hope that answers your question.
That's much better. Thank you.
Okay.
And welcome aboard. Welcome aboard.
All right, next up, I'm gonna go with Robert, and then Robin.
All right. Hi, Commissioner. I'm Robert Belden from Syracuse.
I have something to say after.
Did they just tell me that I go next, or is it someone else?
No, I think it's Robert Belden. I think that was.
The touch on your staffing issue. My idea was.
Let's stay muted, guys.
My idea was once we get some more staff, maybe we can develop relief lists for all the agencies, that does self-direct and agency-based services. So people can get their services whether their staff calls off or not. Is that possible?
I'm sorry to ask you to do this, but I need to, can you repeat what you said? I didn't quite follow it.
Regarding about your staffing issue. Once we get some more staff, can we create like a relief list for the agencies, whether it be for self-direct and agency based, and is that possible?
Mhm.
So people
Sure, yeah, thank you. Thanks for repeating it. I think that a lot of agencies now do have, they have relief lists or pool staff or, staff that they can use to fill in for vacancies when they experience them. I think that for self-direction, that would be something to talk to the support broker about, but I think it's a really good idea. And it's definitely something that we utilize in state operations. And we rely on, a group of staff who are available to call in the event that someone gets sick and has to call out or something happens that we need them. And so if it's not something that's happening in self-direction routinely or regularly, it's absolutely something that, I can bring back to Abiba, who many of you know, and who has self-direction under her, and we can talk about it. I think it actually came up at our last meeting with SANYS, and so I think she's probably already looking into it, but I'll follow up with her.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next up is Robin. It's Robin's iPhone.
Hi, I have a question. My name is Robin Ripple. I have is nonprofit organizations that work through the whole pandemic will get that money that worked for the whole pandemic. Are they gonna get that money that they raised, that they worked through the whole pandemic, the AIDS that worked through the whole pandemic, and nonprofit agencies for who worked through the pandemic? I think they should get reimbursed for that.
So if I'm understanding your question, it's about whether or not the staff who work through the pandemic will have access to additional funding. And so the answer is yes, that not-for-profit staff who worked during the pandemic will be eligible for some of the bonus funds that I just talked about from the federal government. There are different, there are different requirements for length of time being employed. So without knowing the specifics of the staff you're talking about, I can't say 100% for sure. But the idea behind the funding is to give a wage increase for staff who worked last year and are still employed, to give a wage increase for staff who are still currently working for this year, and then also to provide a bonus of, I think it's $1,000 to staff who worked during the pandemic and are still employed, and then to give an additional bonus for staff who are still employed and have chosen to take the vaccine. So for your staff who worked with you throughout the pandemic and are still employed by either the not-for-profit or through self-direction, they will most likely be eligible for some or all of those funds I just talked about.
Okay.
Thank you.
We only have
You're welcome.
We only have a couple minutes left. I am gonna go with let's go with Marie.
First of all, good morning, everyone. My question here is a very personal, but a challenge I started back in 2008. I decided to go for my GED classes. So I go to TLC as part of Learning Disability Association. We just learned recently that first they want us to go to the day half, but they're fine with that. Now they want us to go out in the community to do field trips. But also on the same token, they also say, why is it paid? Why is it day half? Why they're not going to adult learning centers? Well, first of all, I'm used to my teacher. He's a good teacher, and change is not like that. Jobs, pushing the jobs is great for people, but I want to get educated enough so that I can eventually have a job where I can qualify, even if it is some couple hours a week. But I feel it brings me a lot of confidence. It brings me, I learn better comprehension. I learn all this stuff. Anyway, my question is, like, I don't feel like the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities or the local office here should be taking that off their list of helping us get maintaining to do the program for free for the areas we are, the TLC we belong to now. So is there something that maybe that could be changed? They're asking us to change this from day half back to the way we were before, which I have no problem, but I also don't feel like we should be dismissed as an educational part. That these programs should not be dismissed as an educational part.
Okay, thank you, Marie.
So I'm sorry to do this, but I don't 100% understand the details of what you're explaining is happening. So it might be more helpful for us to just connect through email or for me to have someone on my team talk to you who maybe understands what's happening exactly with your program so that I can better answer the question. I just, without some of those details, I can't really speak to what's going on, but happy to make sure that we can address your question in another way.
Okay, everybody. We are going to take 3 more comments or questions. Please make them brief. Mohammed.
Thank you, Commissioner. How are you, Commissioner? I just want to say 2 things. My first thing is, are you going to have Zoom as your permanent services for people with disabilities? And my second question is, what are you going to do for the job employees who are stuck at home and cannot go to work in the snowstorm? And are you going to bring back also working from home? And also, are you going to bring back the workshops, because the other commissioners, they stopped doing that?
Okay, Mohammed, thank you. Let the commissioner respond, please. Thank you.
Okay, several questions there. So obviously, when we experience, I think you're asking about what happens when there's a snowstorm and staff can't get to work in group homes, I assume. Is that right?
No, I'm talking about myself.
Okay, so you're self-directed staff?
No, I'm on my own.
He just lives in the community.
I live in the community.
So are you talking about challenges that you experience with yourself getting to work during a snowstorm?
Yes.
Got it. So I think that, it's hard to answer the question, without understanding a little bit more about how you get to work and if you have a transportation company that assists you. But I think, all of us experience challenges during the snowstorm. And if there are specific issues that you're having with your transportation company, then, we can talk about that, I think, in a different forum to better understand what's going on. But I would expect that they have plans in place to handle snowstorms. And if they don't, then that's definitely something that I think is important for you to understand when working with them. So we're happy to help you navigate that if we can. So please, I think reaching out separately would be helpful. Work from home is, I think, something that has been very helpful, providing remote work options. I'm not sure what your specific employer's policy is. Are you employed by OPWDD?
No.
Okay. So I think work from home is a great tool. We use it at OPWDD, and I would encourage you to talk to your employer about it. We intend to continue using it, for the situations that it works in. It doesn't work for everybody, but it definitely works for some. And then for us, we use video conferencing quite a bit through Zoom and through other platforms like WebEx. And obviously, we always make sure that they're accessible and that they have the right features to meet your needs. And if there's a challenge there, then feel free to let us know.
All right, we're gonna take two more. We're gonna take two more people.
Mike,
Robert-
Esther has wanted to talk and she's on the phone.
Esther. Okay. Well, all right, let's do Esther. She's been waiting for a while. Yeah.
Okay. I had a question about technician, like if we're up at the Heritage Farm, I'm with the South Advocacy, and we have tablets. We're having a hard time getting through, even with our screen what do you call that? Smartboard. The smartboard. We're having technician with that too, to get through so everybody can see what's going on.
Got it. And so are you, I'm sorry, I didn't hear where you said you were, but are you in a state operated program?
We're at the Heritage Farm in Balkville in Madison County.
Okay, and so that's
I am a board member. I'm a board member too.
I'm not entirely sure how to help with the technology problems, but if you, I think that it would be, I don't know if there's an IT person or if there's an executive director there that can help, to address those. I'm sorry, I'm not entirely sure how to help.
Chief. That's one of the.
Esther,
That's one of the guys.
As Esther, give the chance to do a clarifying.
Esther, I'm just trying to clarify whether you're trying to say you're having ongoing issues in your area with access to technology, or if you're just trying to tell us that you're having technical problems now, because we do have tech people that we could try to connect you with. I'm not sure what we can do if it's just issues with your device, but at any rate, so can you just clarify, are you saying you're just having issues right now interacting in this meeting?
Got it.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, Arnold.
Okay, I will try to get someone to connect with you so we can figure this out. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're gonna end with the person on Serene's iPad. I don't think we ever got back. We said we would. So
I got it. Question.
I have a question.
Yeah.
go ahead.
We need more people to work here.
If we need more people to work here?
Yeah.
So you're having trouble with staffing, numbers of staff. Okay.
Yeah.
So I understand how challenging it can be when we don't have enough staff. And I think that's something that we're dealing with in the state operated system and in the voluntarily operated system across the state, across the board. Some of the things that we are trying to do right now are utilizing those federal dollars that I referenced earlier to provide wage increases for direct support professionals, and bonuses to help incentivize them to stay on staff and to help us to be able to recruit new people to come work as direct support professionals. We're looking to continue some of those investments in the new upcoming budget, and we're working with the governor's office and the division of the budget and the legislature to continue with those investments. So there will be more information coming soon on that. And then we're also working not just to increase wages, but to increase the level of support that we provide, the training, the professionalization of the direct support professionals in order to continue to help them feel satisfied with their job and want to stay doing this job for a long time, so that you can have staff that you can rely on and come to know and feel, you know, comfortably supported.
Okay, all right. Well, we are at an end. I just want to say for the supporters and parents that may be on the call, as I call it, we are going to post some information in the chat for an upcoming venue for you to have your voices heard. So please look in the chat and you will see that.
Hey, cut the fucking do right now, you fucking idiot!
But let's be respectful, guys. We wanna thank the commissioner for coming on and staying a little bit over with us, and answering our questions and concerns. So thank you very much for coming on, Commissioner. We really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you guys for having me. I'm really happy to be here. And Mike, if there were people that didn't get their questions and you guys want to compile some questions and get them to me, we can certainly get some answers back to you so that people have the opportunity to have answers to their questions as well.
Yeah, maybe the team can do that. Maybe there's something we can do with that. We will look into that.
Okay, well, thank you all for having me. I hope you have a good conference.
Commissioner Nettlefield.
I just had a quick question.
I'm John. We're done with questions at this point. Thank you.
How would I get an audience with you, though? Because I'm not good with technology in a way, and I need help with the email stuff, and I really need a private audience with you.
Are we on break yet?
Cut the fucking remote, you people!
Everybody needs to be respectful. The person that is doing that's not acceptable. Thank you. Whatever that is. But anyway, Commissioner, thank you very much for coming on.
Much, Commissioner Nettlefield.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, are we on break yet?
From the Board of
Thank you, Commissioner.
Hi, Russell.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right. Again, guys, we want to be respectful on our calls. We're really good and together self-advocates, so always be respectful. Watch our language and different things like that. So we are a little bit over.
Hey, Mike, can I just say something about that? And I'm certainly not trying to single anybody out. I think everybody on the call is wonderful. I just do want to say,
you aren't.
So to anyone, and I know that it can be stressful sometimes when things don't go at a plan, and I know we're running over. But in the future, if people are communicating in ways that are offensive, we're going to try to give you a chance, but we are going to have to remove people if it really becomes a problem where somebody keeps coming in. Okay.
I agree with Arnold. I totally agree.
And if we have to do, I just want
it's really becoming really.
Guys, can I just say this? We don't need to comment. It's okay. Everybody has moments that things are challenging. We're here to support one another. I just want to say that, just if we can do our best, because if we do have to remove somebody, they're not going to be able to get back in, is my understanding. And that we really don't want to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Mike.
Thank you, Arnold. Thank you. No, that's great. That's great. And I know we didn't get to everybody's questions, but again, we have the information from the commissioner, so you could reach out to her office. So, there was a lot of people. Well, now that we're back, I just want to say that we are going to break for lunch. And what that means is we're going to leave the conference, then we're going to come back with the same link. And after we come back at 1 o'clock, Cassie is going to be taking over hosting duties. So everybody have a good break and we'll come back with Cassie. All right, everybody. We will see you then. Again, use the same link to come back in, but we're gonna leave for now.